Hey, what's up guys, Eva94 back with another action figure review, and today we are looking at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Silver Centurion Iron Man. This is not part of any wave, but it is a Walgreens single release. As you see in the front, he comes packed in with several effect accessories. On both sides we get this very nice graphic image of Iron Man, and on the back side we get another image of the figure. There is a read up in the back and it says, Tony Stark jets back from obscurity in Silver Centurion armor, a breathtaking technological achievement equipped with a unibeam, force field, and rapid-fire pulse bolts. So this is finally the first time that Hasbro has made a Silver Centurion Iron Man figure. Believe it or not, I know they've released so many Iron Man figures. It's kind of hard to believe that they never made Silver Centurion Iron Man. They've actually never made the original first appearance Iron Man in 6-inch form. They made it for the 3 3/4 inch line, but never for the 6-inch line of Legends. So maybe that's something they could do in the future, because they haven't gotten there yet. That's something Toy Biz hit. They did the silver, they did the gold variant, they did, of course, Silver Centurion. They definitely hit more of the Iron Man armors that Hasbro hasn't really wanted to touch yet for whatever reason. Hasbro hasn't even made a Hulkbuster, a classic Hulkbuster figure like Toy Biz did. They've only made the MCU version. It just goes to show how many armors Iron Man really has, because Hasbro hasn't gotten to them all yet. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty bummed when I found out this was a Walgreens exclusive. I was hoping this was gonna be a regular release within a wave. Maybe an Iron Man wave is what I was really hoping for. Just like they released Spider-Man waves, it'd be cool to get an Iron Man wave, because there's so many armors. They could definitely make several waves of Iron Man, make the Hulkbuster the Build-A-Figure, make another Ironmonger possibly as a Build-A-Figure. I think there's a lot of possibilities. We're still awaiting a classic comic book version of the Mandarin for Hasbro Marvel Legends. That's something they haven't made yet. So definitely a lot more to touch in the Iron Man verse of characters and armors. So he comes packed in actually with open hands, but I swapped it out just for right now. I will put it back on to show you the effects attached to it, but right now I got the fisted hands attached to the figure, and he looks really good. He's using most of the body that we've been getting since the 80th anniversary Iron Man figure, which is a good body, so I don't mind it at all. And then we got, of course, a different sculpt for the torso. So here's a close-up look at the face mask of the figure. It's got the silver paint for the face mask, for the arms, and for the legs. Everything else is just a red plastic mold. Also worth noting, we do not get pinless arms or pinless legs on this figure. Looks like maybe this was made before they made the War Machine figure. I don't know. This is definitely using parts of the 80th anniversary Iron Man. And then the torso piece is different, of course. Face mask looks like it could be removed, but it's not removable. I think it would have been cool if they would have included a feature like that, kind of paying tribute to the Toy Biz version of Silver Centurion. Since that one had a removable face mask, it would have been just a little cool thing, but it's okay. Going on to the back here, we have sculpted pack, and he does not come with a rocket accessory like the Toy Biz version does. Down to the feet here, I can see already that I have kind of like a paint app scratched slightly on the thigh there. It's hard to see, but maybe it's just some battle damage, right? We can play that off as battle damage. But overall, I like it. I'm pretty satisfied with the paint job and the sculpt of the figure so far. Face mask definitely looks better in person. It seemed kind of small in the promo images, but in person it looks good. So these are the open hands that he comes with. Pretty standard. These are sculpted already to be angled to be blasting effects. So it's not on a hinge or anything. We got the peg hole there at the palm. And we, of course, get the same blast effects that we've been getting for several years, I think, at this point, right? It's been a couple years. Nothing wrong with that. It looks just fine. Can't really change this too much. And this is just all the same translucent yellow color. We also do get this effect. If you want to make a bigger effect, this can also peg onto the palm of the hand. And you can apply these effects here. So you can have just a bigger effect if you want him shooting a bigger blast, of course. And you get two sets. One of them is the smaller one like this, and then the other is the one that you kind of build together with this piece. So you get two of these, of course, one for each hand. Also, he does have peg holes at the bottom of his feet, so you can attach some of these effects at the bottom of the feet to make it look like he's, you know, flying. Real quick, here he is with some of his effects attached to the hand. Blasting some repulsor blast there, so it looks pretty good. So the entire head and neck, I guess you can count that as a neck, is one piece here. And we have a peg. It's just a peg. It's not a ball jointed hinge, but it's just a peg. So the entire head piece with the neck tilts with it, goes back with it. That's how he looks up. And he doesn't look up a crazy amount, and you're going to want to use that torso articulation to get him to look up if you want him flying. And you are able to see some of that peg though, so it might look ugly at some angles. You just gotta play around with it and get it hidden, and you can look down quite a bit. So there's that. And also, it looks like it just started raining pretty hard, so if you hear rain, I apologize. So this also allows it to kind of move back and forward like that. Not sure if you can see that, but there's that motion, so that kind of hides the peg too if you bring that forward. If you have it all the way back, you have more, you know, more view of that peg being exposed. But from far away, as you see, I don't have the figure super up close. You don't really see it too much, so it's not too bad. It's just up close. The arms. So this is what they were talking about on that live stream when they unveiled this figure. The shoulder guard is, you know, it articulates with the arm. So what they were trying to mention is that it's not pegged so that when you move the arm, it doesn't pop off, and that's true. So keep an eye on the shoulder there. When you move the arm forward, it goes along with it, and it's pretty cool. I don't know how they pulled it off. It seems like it's a separate piece that is just connected with the shoulder articulation, so it doesn't hinder it. It doesn't block it from moving. So he can move his arms all the way up with no problem, and you got the shoulder pads there attached, and you can still move it all the way out too. So this is pretty cool. I like that they came up with this new way of articulating Iron Man without having that shoulder armor be a separate piece that pops off, or a shoulder armor that is a soft rubber pliable plastic that kind of warps differently if you have him posed like this for too long, or it's not something that hinders the articulation too horribly. So I like it. I like that this moves all around with the entire arm. I see what they mean now. When they were talking about it, I couldn't really understand it completely, but now definitely when you have it in hand, you see what they're talking about, and I like it. So good choice there in having that new piece for the shoulders. We do get the bicep swivel. We get the double jointed elbows. We don't get a forearm swivel. We get a swivel at the wrist with a hinge. Same hinge for the other hand. Remember, the open hands don't have hinges. They're just fixed that way. We have an ab crunch at the torso, a swivel at the waist. T-jointed legs will kick forward. This is pretty similar to the 80th anniversary figure of Iron Man. In and out about that far. We have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and it looks like he would have a boot cut here, and if he does, then it's super stiff on both legs, but I don't think he does. I think they kind of missed that, and if it's there, then they glued it. I don't know, because I know the 80th anniversary Iron Man has that boot cut. The ankles have the hinge at the foot there, so it goes forward and back, and then we have the rocker right there. So this is about the best you're going to accomplish a flying pose, and I think it's pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's still decent. You definitely got to utilize the torso ab crunch here. Crunch it all the way back as you can, and then the head all the way back as you can. And you can get him looking forward and flying at the same time. So this is going to be the way you're going to want to pose him if you want him flying, and it works out. So it's been 16 years since we've gotten a Silver Centurion, and here he is from 16 years ago. We have the Toy Biz Silver Centurion, the Iron Man Model 8, and he still looks good, holding its paint job and everything. He's still a solid figure, still good. This figure actually had an issue with the paint fading, so you might come across a few of these with the paint faded, but this one's held its own over the years, and it looks real good. And to be honest, I like this paint color more than the new one on the Hasbro version. I wish they would have painted it similar to this red, because now side by side it looks very boring or bland. I don't know the word for it, but it just doesn't look as super nice as this red right here. And they also shaded the lines here black, so that adds some more detail to it and makes it look better too. The silver has also got some wash over it. I don't mind that this one doesn't have it, but it would have been cool if this figure was painted similar to the red on this figure. And hey, if they would have added shading, of course shading makes any figure look better, but side by side, I think the paint job is superior on the Toy Biz version, and then of course the articulation and the proportions are better on the Hasbro version any day. He doesn't have massive monkey arms like this figure does here. Look how the arms are just as long as the legs, so that was a big deal with most of the Toy Biz figures. So definitely Hasbro wins in that department there, and obviously the height here is different too. We got a much taller figure for the Hasbro version, but the Toy Biz one has a mask that is removable. But of course, it's up to you. It's your preference. Which one do you like? I totally see people liking the Toy Biz one better, even with this new one, and I totally see people liking the new one better than the old one. So it's always like that, but I could definitely understand why someone would like either one over the other. And here he is with the 80th anniversary Iron Man, which is still one of my favorite Iron Man figures ever. Looks real good. Real good next to the Silver Centurion here. You can see that their heights are pretty much the same, which is great. They're keeping that the same there. And here you can take a look at how the arms and the thigh, I should say the biceps, half of the forearm and the thighs are the same mold as the 80th anniversary Iron Man. Here we have the War Machine. This is the deluxe release that recently came out, and this looks fantastic too. I love the scale. I love that they're all even. The arms are about the same height here, and it just looks so good next to the other Hasbro classic Iron Man figures. Definitely something that they could have made an Iron Man wave. Again, going back to that, they could have made a full wave of Iron Man armors with a Build-A-Figure included and everything. But hey, if this is how they're going to release these classic armors one by one, I'm fine with that too. And if I could pop off this head, I would, but you know what? I'm kind of afraid to do it because it's not coming off. And if I do it, I run the risk of making the head loose. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that, but sometimes when you pop a head off that's not meant to come off and you pop it back in, it's very loose, and I hate loose joints, especially loose heads, so definitely not running that risk, sorry. It would be cool to try to get a Rhodey head on here, since the story behind this armor is it was kind of intended for Rhodey, it was made for Rhodey, and then Tony Stark ended up using it against Obadiah Stane. Of course, he used it in some other battles too, including the Mandarin. But either way, I think a Rhodey head will look weird because the neck is attached to the helmet here and you don't have that neck piece. So you just have a random Rhodey head or a Tony Stark head floating on a peg, and it just wouldn't look good. Alright guys, and that wraps things up for the Walgreens exclusive Hasbro Marvel Legends Silver Centurion Iron Man figure. I've been waiting for a Silver Centurion for a long time, and I'm very happy that they released it finally. I'm actually very satisfied with the figure. It looks good, especially next to our other recent Iron Man releases. Next to War Machine and Iron Man here, it looks really good, and I can't wait to get some more so we can get a nice classic Hall of Armor in our displays. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you have not done so already. As always, everyone, have a great day. Bye.
That's crispy.